Here, Red Day 68. So I said yesterday I was going to talk about, for the first day back in school, the National Board Certification. So I don't even know if I should say anything about it because it's, I don't know if they can revoke your certification or anything like that. I would like to say I wish I could be a cheerleader and a champion for the National Board process for teachers. But unfortunately, I don't think I can. Uh, I chose to do it because in my state, it has a $5,000, a little over $5,000 annual bonus that is given out by the state to teachers who achieve national board certification. Um, I was hopeful that it would also be a process that would allow me to dig into my pedagogy and to really, reflect on my teaching. But I think, by and large, the national board process, if you're doing good teaching and you're a very reflective type of teacher where you are constantly looking at your pedagogy and looking at how you can improve and looking at your students and assessing your students and finding out ways to improve, there's not much that it can offer. The Washington TPEP evaluation model that's based on the Charlotte Danielson framework, I think set me up to where the national board process was not that difficult. And so I didn't, personally, I didn't gain much out of it. Now, I want to give a disclaimer that I also didn't give very much time to it. I think that if you were to truly do this process the right way, maybe over a 2-year span, you would need to have pretty much everything else off your plate. And as you may know from previous videos, that's just not the case for me. I have a lot of other things going on. And both years that I was in the process of doing it, 2 years ago and last year, it came down to the last minute. And I was looking at, fortunately, our district has a lot of supports for national board stuff. I did not access very many of those. I had one of our content area national board teachers look over some of my writing the day before I submitted the first time, and that it was helpful. But I had kind of prepped what I knew I needed to do. I knew that I needed to have like 2 points of student growth and be able to have those measures available, and I knew that I would have to do some videos and things like that. But both years it came down to the last minute, the last week. I think the first year I did everything besides setting up what assessments I would use. I did everything in 2 days during a weekend, and then this last year I kind of worked one day, one weekend, and then did both videos in 1 week, and then did another day the following weekend. And that time I didn't have anybody read or assess my work. But I had it available. So anyway, I'm very, very grateful to have gotten the National Board Certification and have that bonus coming along the way. But I think that there's a lot of inequity in the process, and I have a lot of questions, and I can't seem to find the answers. There's a complete lack of transparency of how this is graded and who is grading it. Now, they give you a huge, massive book full of standards and everything, and I guess some people read them and things like that. But it shouldn't be that intensive of a read for you to be able to see exactly what they're looking for. Maybe I need to dig into that more, but it doesn't seem like it's concise. It doesn't seem like it's very clear for a lot of teachers of what it's supposed to look like. And then I don't know who grades these things. I've heard that teachers that are not nationally board certified grade this, which would be strange to have somebody going through the process, never gone through the process, assessing that type of work. I've also heard that people outside of content areas sometimes grade different content areas, and the whole thing just lacks transparency. There's just too many unanswered questions. The feedback is terrible. So there's a minimum score that you have to get on each component, and then they give you standardized feedback based on where you scored on a scale of 0 to 4. And the feedback I got for component 2 last year from the year before left me completely confused, and I had no idea exactly what I needed to improve. I've heard stories of people that have written their component 2 and then got a bad score, so they redid it, worked really hard, put in hours and hours, and improved it, and they could see the improvement in it, and then got the exact same score. And so I don't know what the process is. I'm not fully bought into it. I am grateful to have the opportunities in our, and that's the other major inequity is in our state. They have a loan program where you can take an interest-free loan to complete your national boards, and if you complete them throughout the first thing, the state pays for it along the way, and then out of your first bonus check, they take their money back for the loan. That's not available in every state. Like I said, my district has a ton of supports available. They have videographers available for the videos. They have people available to read and edit, give advice. They have to be careful about what they can say and but they tell you like, oh, you should relook at this, or you should point out this more, whatever it may be. But editing process and think partners, and they have cohorts that they organize and meetings that you can get clock hours or even paid for. So there's a ton of resources available in my district, and I don't think those are available in many other districts, even in our own state. And so, and then the other issue is it seems that most national board teachers come from affluent districts. Part of that's probably the resources that are available. Part of that's probably the bonuses that are made available to people. But then that also means that a lot of the people who are probably grading them are from those districts as well, from more affluent districts. Now, every school and every classroom has its issues, but most teachers at Bellevue will say that like behavior is not really an issue at our school. We have a very compliant student population, and classroom management is fairly easy. And so the question becomes, if all these national board teachers are from affluent districts that aren't used to issues of impoverished districts and lack of resources and all these different things and different classroom management pieces, then they're judging teachers who they may have never had their experience. They may have never had to walk in those teachers' shoes. So anyway, yeah, so I'm grateful. I want to learn more about the national board process. I can only speak from my personal experience that I don't feel that it added much to my teaching skills or to my ability to reflect, because I feel like I was a reflective teacher before I started this process, and was doing a lot of the stuff that the national board required in my classroom already. So for all those that are still trudging through to do national board certification process, good luck. It is an arduous process. It is very mentally challenging to do all the things required in time. I encourage you to plan ahead and not procrastinate like I did, so that you don't run into a weekend of just intense workload. And then if you're deciding whether or not to do it, I think you have to weigh everything and see what is offered. It's a difficult thing. I'm definitely for the professionalization of the teaching profession. I think that we need to be treated as professionals. I think that we can have standards and we can achieve, strive for that. I don't know if this is the best process to do it. So we'll see as we move forward what everybody else thinks. All right, thanks.